I'm Arlena Guto, topping our stories. It's been 25 years and the Vietnam Memorial Wall still stands strong. For families and friends who have lost their loved ones, this is more than just a granite wall. It is a place for reflection and healing. Meantime, the candidates still have enough time to boost their campaign election funds before the primary elections in April of 2008. While the Senate has enough votes in favor of the S-chip bill, backers of the legislation are still unsure whether they will have the two-thirds majority vote needed to override the president's veto. Boston city officials and leaders are also very much concerned about the increasing crime rate here in Boston. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, about 8 million people in the United States have experienced an eating disorder. And in Boston University alone, about 25% of the female student population have experienced one as well. For many years, mental health professionals thought OCD was a rare disease. But with recent studies and statistics, the NIMH says OCD is in fact a common disorder. This new military advanced training center may have all the state-of-the-art equipment, but according to our wounded soldiers, nothing compares to the human touch. But for the third consecutive year, the river has maintained its highest grade ever from the EPA, a B+. With dozens of digital television available in the market, choosing that perfect television set could be a daunting task. For those of you who missed the book festival, you can still log on to the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov. The EPA says this increase is largely due to the high vehicle fuel consumption and surging energy use. The MBTA still has 2 more months to finalize everything. They also have plans to connect the Blue Line with the Red Line. For the Neighborhood Network News, I'm Arlena Guto. If you would have an advice for any of the presidential candidates, what would it be? No! Whoa, leave me alone! And then a punch, and then a kick to the groin.
Very good, very good.
Had to clean out a bunch of scar tissue.
These are the wounds of specialist Michael Hardiman. After an improvised explosive device in Iraq blasted shrapnel all over his body, he says he is lucky to be alive.
Could have been a lot worse. You know, I could have died.
Walter Reed Army Medical Center's new military advanced training center has now become his new boot camp. Before being dispatched to Iraq, Hardiman was stationed at Fort Drum in New York, where he received his combat training. Now he trains to make his left hand compensate for the sensation he lost on his right arm. His favorite form of therapy is the firearms training system.
Since the time I got here to the time now, things are getting easier. It gives me a sense of, accomplishment.
They come down like, oh, this is great, this is fantastic. To get away from the hospital for a little while, to come back to do what they did prior to them getting hurt.
The center has other facilities that serve specific needs of wounded soldiers.
The Advanced Training Center is designed to challenge the patients and return them to the highest levels of athletic performance. So the climbing wall has both the psychological and physical challenges. When they do well on that, we put them on a tread wall so we can do both cognitive and physical challenge.
This new military advanced training center may have all the state-of-the-art equipment, but according to our wounded soldiers, nothing compares to the human touch. And that's where they get their strength. Like Juan Valdez, who lost both his legs to an improvised explosive device in Baghdad. Physical therapist Virginia Howe helps Juan get back in shape.
He's actually one of our miracle cases. We do a lot of abdominal crunches and sitting balance exercises. For right now, sitting is about the most challenging position we can get him in.
Juan may have lost his legs, but he has not lost hope.
I'm not going to give up because I have 2 beautiful women I got to take care of.
Juan and Michael are just 2 of thousands of servicemen returning from war to face new battles back home.
See all the soldiers that have fought for our country and pay them gratitude just by saying thank you or just anything. That would be one of the greatest things they could do.
In Washington, Arlena Guto. At the White House, President Bush quietly vetoed the expansion of the state children's health insurance program, or the S-chip bill. But on Capitol Hill, congressional supporters like Pennsylvania Senator Robert Casey criticized the president's action.
The Senate agrees, the House agrees, the American people agree the President of the United States is the only one standing in the way for 10 million children to have health insurance right now.
According to the research of Kaiser Foundation, in Pennsylvania, there are about 281,000 uninsured children. Currently, the S-chip insures more than 164,000 kids in Pennsylvania.
With the presidential veto, really the ability to move forward in covering more uninsured kids really is hanging in the balance.
But the president argues that the expanded program would be too expensive, raising costs over the next 5 years to $60 billion. Republicans who voted against the bill, like Congressman John Peterson, say the bill would also extend eligibility to middle-class families with incomes up to $83,000.
This bill takes a lot of twists and turns that I think are not wise. We need to cover those who need the coverage, don't have the coverage first, and work our way up.
The Bush administration says it wants to extend the program, but with a lower price tag.
I disagree with the president. I think this is an important public priority, and I think that it is an important use of the funds.
What he's trying to do is divert attention away from the basic question. Mr. President, are you for and will you sign legislation that covers 10 million kids or not? That's the question. He's got to answer that question.
While the Senate has enough votes in favor of the S-chip bill, backers of the legislation are still unsure whether they will have the two-thirds majority vote needed to override the president's veto. In Washington, Arlene Agulto.